course, we need our tumbler towel blocks. I always say make sure that you have 4 until 5 packages of tumbler towel blocks in your stash, so you always have enough for a DIY. Of course, I have here my paint, and paint, you can use paint at your choice, maybe spray paint, gold, silver, whatever you think you like for your decor. I have here a styrofoam bowl. I think if you cut it through, it is 20 centimeters. I have here, of course, some duct tape. I have here my container with everything we need, a marker, scissors, brushes, but especially the wood glue, because what would we do without our wood glue? And this brand is, of course, I will show it you, it is Pattex. Of course, you see it right now backwards, but it is Pattex. So I think you buy it in a lot of stores. And of course, I have here my saucer with an old piece of kitchen towel to wipe away the glue we don't need. What we're going to make, a Starbucks mug, but of course with some coffee cream on top of it. We will see how this will turn out. It has to be a decor piece. So I made in earlier videos I made on the All About Christmas and More channel. I made already a Christmas mug. He is also turned out very nice, but this one will be a little different. So I hope you do this DIY together with me. So we are going to start with, of course, the mug. And I don't know, I have here wires. I don't know what kind of wires these are, but at least I have no idea if they come out of the package. I really don't know. So we take 5 blocks and we are going to do the tops with a little bit of glue. And over here, we do the same. Place them together. And this one over here. It's very easy. And this one, the only thing we need to look for is that we have a nice straight line. Of course, everyone who uses a metal hook, it's totally fine. Use your metal hook, which is working the best for you to make a straight line. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to get another one of 5. Again, we are going to do the tops again. So it's very easy. And place it immediately against each other so the glue does not run out too much. And number 4 and number 5 is, of course, the closure up. You're going to, already before you squeeze it, make sure that you already have almost a straight line like this, and place it aside. This one can a little up. And of course, wipe away the glue you don't need, because then it doesn't glue on your table. And we place this over here. And if some glue is coming out, wipe away with your old piece of kitchen towel. I'm going to do a couple of them extra. We need we need 14 pieces of 5. So I make 14 rows of 5 right now. So you see here we have our 14 pieces of 5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place them this way, and we're going to place them down. Of course, it doesn't matter how you place them down. At least make sure that they are next to each other. And this way. And over here. And we're going to make one straight line from them. And we're going to look for how they are fitting the best. Because you see here already, this one is a little out of line. So we're going to try if you place it somewhere else. If you get then a better, kind of, it's not a square, but of course next to each other. So take your time for it, because this is really important that you have it, all of them, in a straight line as best as you can. And look for if you have open gaps or not. And open gaps are always a little bit difficult to work away. You see here, this one is not really nice to fit. So we're going to, and you see here, this one also not. So we're going to look for if maybe we turn it over, if it does work better. So everyone has the same problem. And I think it is this one. Maybe if I turn it, we will see. If it is the same, maybe I can turn it this way. So take your time for it. I'm going to take my time to make it totally a nice piece. And then we're going to do the next step. So now I have my wood piece the way I want to have it. I'm going to get my duct tape. Of course, if you are already here for a long time, you know a couple of DIYs earlier I tried painter's tape, because it was just an experiment. I wanted to see how it would work, but it doesn't work. So don't use it. So I'm sorry for the noise. I'm going to measure out what I need, and I'm going to cut off this piece, and I'm going to place it very carefully on the first. I think I'm going to place it in the middle, so I'm sure that the blocks are not going anywhere. Just lay it down and just give it lightly a little bit already some pressure over here so the blocks can't move anymore. And now I'm going to do everything with of course with the tape. And I hope it doesn't, oh, maybe I can do it this way. I'm sorry. I do my best. And of course we're going to do one over here at the ending. I have to hand this way, and so I'm going to go on top and make everything in the tape. So, but you see that in a moment. Already I have all the tape on top of here, or else you will, if I would do it together with you, it would be one big mess for your ears. So I have everything in the tape, and I'm going to lay it down now with my, of course, my heater. But you also can use a little bit of a hair dryer just to go over it to make it a little bit warmer. So the glue is melting a little, and it stays a little bit better on top of your wood. So take your time for it, just go with your hair dryer over it and just make sure that everything dries nicely on your wood so later it doesn't fall apart. And then we're going to do, of course, make our round. So in the meantime, while our round is drying, we are going to get 6 blocks. We have already 4, 5, 6. So we're going to glue them together on the longest side and lay them immediately against each other so the glue is not running out again. And again, 6 pieces, give it a little bit of pressure, and again 6 pieces, 4, 5, 6. And then we already have one of our squares almost for making a round later. And so it can dry, because if you use a jigsaw too soon with blocks which are just glued, then everything will fall apart. So don't be surprised if it does, because then you did it a little bit too soon and did it not dry too much. So we're going to do another one of 6, because we need a top and a bottom. Number 2, 3, and number 4 and 5 and 6 is of course the closure up again. Squeeze it, and we're going to do the last piece of 6. And again, some glue on the sides. 3 and number 4, and the last already number 5. And we're going to squeeze this one also together. And we're going to give it a couple of minutes rest. So we gave it a couple of minutes. We're going to lay one of them on the side, and we do some glue on this side, place it down and squeeze them together until one piece. And because you do it already after a couple of minutes, you still can push it together. That means that you get less open gaps. So it is very important, don't wait too long to glue them, because or else you can't move it anymore. So I always do it a little faster. Of course I take the risk that some pieces are falling off each other, but it doesn't matter, because you still can redo it. You see, now can easily squeeze all the blocks together so until one piece, and the open gaps are disappearing. So you see, we gave our piece some rest. Now we can place it straight up, and what we're going to do this way, we make a nice round out of it. And we're going to get a little piece of tape, a small piece, and we could do one on the top on the inside and one on the underside, so he stays in a nice round, and he's a little bit easier to work with when we want to glue it on top of our round. So very easy, just get them together this way and just get a piece of thing and just tape it inside. Of course you have to make sure that everything is sticking nicely over here, and I know it's sometimes a little bit difficult to get it glued or get it sticks. We're going to do again another piece for the other side, and of course we can look over here and we can place it inside this way, or we try to keep it this way. Of course. I'm just explaining it so so we are just going to place them together this way, and of course tape it inside. Really, I'm not an example how you place it inside. I'm sorry, of course I have to show it to you this way, but oh my. So you see, we're going to get inside, place it together like this, and now we're going to give it some pressure, and of course we're going to cut off this piece. Now I hope I have it a little, it is a round, but it is not a nice round. I'm going to redo it. If you have, you can tell me a better way, I'm in for it. And of course I'm just popping in because I already are a lot of steps further, but I just saw this video back and I thought, how can I do it this way? Because it's so difficult and I did it already so many times. I don't know, I probably had a blackout, but I didn't know anymore how I did do the tape on top of here. Of course, this is our piece of our round. Of course, you have the big one with all the tape on top of here, over here. What you're going to do, and you want to make a round and glue them up, tape them together. It's so easy. You just get a piece of your tape, and don't do it as difficult as I do. It's so easy to do because it is so simple. You just measure out the size you need like this. You cut it off. You're just going to place it on top of here. Of course, normally everything would stay together. You just turn it over, and then you can easily get the piece, because here is also you get your piece, your round, and you just very simple place this one against here, and all your round is completely glued together. I don't know why I showed it to you so difficult, because it is so easy to do. You just do some on this side with the tape. You just tape it on the inside, turn it over, get the piece, and just place it on top, and then you already have everything together. It is so easy. I'm sorry for the mix-up and for the confusion. So I hope you still do it this way, because this is easy to do. So finally, after a lot of fight with my with my round, I have the piece inside. And of course the trick was just to place it against each other this way, and then do some tape on the inside. You have to make sure that they connect to each other, then some tape inside, and then of course you can leave it open this way. It was, like I said, it was a task. So I hope you have a better way. I have here one of my squares. I'm going to place this one on top, and I'm going to look for a nice round, and then I'm going to get my marker, and I'm going to try to make a nice round very lightly around it. So this is only an example, so you don't just easily go around, make little stripes, not too much, because this is not the total round. So it's just an impression how I want to have it. So over here I'm going to go around here and here and this way, and now I have almost the round I want to have. So I'm going to place it aside. You see already, this is an example how wide it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to look in my stash if I have something which is fitting over here, so I can really make a nice rounding. So you see, I found my round. I use my underside of my globe. So I have already one round. I'm going to get to my garage. I'm going to get my jigsaw and I'm going to saw it out, and then I'm going to mark this one over for the other one. So, but I already have one, so I hope you find something in your stash so you can also easily make your round. See, I have already one round out of my wood. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to do some glue on the underside. Of course, I can also do it if it's correct. But you know what I do? I make it myself easy. I'm just going to do it on here. It doesn't matter if I do it on one way or the other one, because I can wipe it away with my brush, and this way it will be a little bit easier, I think, than I do it each by each other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place this on top very carefully. We're going to make sure that everything is fitting in the glue. It doesn't matter if it runs out, don't worry. I found out if you use your ball before you're going to cut it, place it inside, make sure that everything is fitting, and then you can easily get a nice round of your piece. So go ahead, place them where you want, and so as long as you have your piece inside, of your ball inside, he is not going anywhere. So I'm going to work with mine so I have it exactly in the middle of my round, but you see already I have it a little bit out of line, so I want to have it a little bit more on the middle. You see already I'm going to get there. I have to take it a little over here, and I feel with my fingers around, so I have a little space on each side, and I still keep my ball in between because that gives me that he stays in a round. And now I can do it any way I like. So this way. And I think for me he's in the middle, and I'm going to let this dry in right now. And of course I have my round and I have some paint cans on top. You see already over here the paint cans are on top, so letting it dry. In the meantime we are going to glue 2 blocks together. So very easy, we're going to make our handle, and we're going to place this one over here, and we're going to do some glue on this side over here, place this one over here, and the other one a little glue, and we place this one on this side. So very easy, make sure that you have it in a straight line, and this one, and now we're going to squeeze it, and we're going to give it a couple of minutes a rest. So in the meantime, while our handle, we call it in Netherlands, you call it handvat, or you can also, we call it the ear of the mug. So I don't know how you call it handle, if I'm correctly, at least that's what my interpreter is saying, of course, but I am going to go for the ear of our mug. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my styrofoam ball, and you see already always in the styrofoam ball there is a middle piece which they are glued together. So I'm going to get my knife, and I'm going to go exactly in the middle, and I'm going to cut it in half. Very easy and I take my time for it because I want to have it as smooth as it can be. So I take my time for it. I don't do it in front of camera, or else you will be very bored. So I'm going to do it in half. I have the small opening. What I'm going to do, because we want to try to make everything from blocks, so I'm going to squeeze one of the blocks on the top side inside of your frame. You see already, you see the block over here. Now you get your knife and you go very easy, make little cuts over here until the other side, so we get it a little bit bigger, and we're going to pull away and just do this with some with of course your pencil, because with your blocks it will be too big and everything will break inside. So you go just squeeze it inside and make the opening a little bit bigger, so your block later can fit inside of here. You see already I have already the shape of the block. Now I only need to get it through the other side. It is a little bit of your time, but later you will have so much fun for it. So you see already, this is the opening, and you can place here a little block inside. Very easy, and you can also squeeze it to the other side. So this is already finished. Now we're going to work with it, because it doesn't look like cream or maybe whipped cream. It doesn't look like that. We are going to make our straw, and we could do this very easy. We just do 4 blocks like this on top of each other, and on this one place them together, and this, and number 4, of course he has to glue over here, and this one we do on the other side, on this side. So but first we're going to make our straight line, and this way squeeze it, and we're going to place this one very easy on top of here. Make sure that you have this one also in a straight line, the same like you have in the other one. And we're going to place it aside and we're going to let this dry in also. So you see already I did some gloves on for working. Of course, what I'm going to do, I never did before, so I will see how this will turn out. I'm going to take a block. I'm going to place this inside to make sure that the opening is not full with some filler, because I'm going to get my wood filler and I'm going to do something on the top. So I really have no idea how this will turn out, if this will look or nice. I really have no clue. But sometimes you have to try something. I'm going to take a brush and I'm just going to go over it and just make an idea that you make a kind of a cream, like whipped cream or something else. Just make sure that it looks like you, yeah, I don't know how you call this, some caramel or maybe with some chocolate later. You can do anything. So we will see how this will look like. Of course, I'm going to make sure that I go to the ending also, and I'm just give it some structure. I think that's the most important, that we're going to give it some structure before we're going to let it dry. So I think it looks already very nice, you see, and it doesn't cost almost nothing because this is so great to work with. I do a little bit more over here and you can make it as thick as you want. Of course, I have to go for that. I have also the underside. And of course, this needs some dry time, but I really am enjoying how it is looking like. So I think you can get better, nothing better than with it. Normally I will do this styrofoam and I make circles with my hot glue, but that is really tricky because hot glue is melting your styrofoam. So I was thinking, what can I do else? So I think this looks very nice. So of course, now I only need to do this side and then he can dry. And I'm going to make sure that I have each side. And of course, I'm going to let this dry in right now. In the meantime, while our top is drying, we are going to place our handle. Of course, we do some glue on the tops over here and over here. And we're going to place it where we want to have it. Of course, I'm just going to do it a little bit higher. I don't do it too low. And I'm going to give it a little bit of pressure. And of course, you can place them on the side, but I want to show it to you this way because or else it's just a strange sight for you to see. So I'm going to let this dry in, of course, also in ½ hour because it needs to be very tight on here. So I'm going to let this dry. You see already the handle is dried up. What we're going to do, we're going to give this one a color. I'm going to choose for the brown shoe polish because it gives a nice little bit of an old look, and especially because the wood is still coming through. So that's why I like this one. But of course you can choose any color you like. So I'm going to do it very easy. Get my brush and I'm going to go over it and make also in between little spots, and of course I'm going to give it a nice light color of the brown. So I do it a little bit faster because this takes much too long for you. Our mug is already in the brown color. I'm going to do the straw in the black shoe polish. But also again here, choose any color you like. I like this kind of the black color, and of course it doesn't cover everything, and that's the greatest what I like about it, because I don't want it to be too dark. So I'm going to give this one a nice coat, and then we're going to do some little print on top of our mug. Now we have our mug and of course our straw in with some polish on top of here. What I'm going to do, I did go to my computer and I made my own print. Of course, I'm going to have it in the gray and the green. I think I'm going to go for the gray one. So I'm going to cut this one out and we're going to Mod Podge it on the front. So here is my print. Of course, you see it backwards. Don't worry, it's just a telephone. of course, I'm going to place this down and I'm going to glue this on top of here. I have to be sure that my mug is staying on the place that I want to have it, because or else I have my print on the wrong side. So I need a little higher, and this way, this is what I mean. So I'm going to do some Mod Podge on top of here, and I'm going to place it over here, I think a little bit higher this way. So I'm going to get a piece of kitchen towel. I will do it upside down, and of course a lot of you already know how to Mod Podge your piece. I'm just going to do it very fast, and you see already he is wanting to get out of here. So I'm going to go a little bit more, because I need a little bit more of my Mod Podge over here this way, and I must be sure that I have all the corners and the sides, because we don't want that it getting loose. Of course, we're going to turn it over, and I'm going to make it, I think, over here this way, and I'm just going to make sure that nothing of the Mod Podge is coming on top of here. So I'm just going to lay it down, and we're going to let this dry in. And you see, this is how he finally is looking like on top of here. So what we're going to do now, we're going to work further with our top of our coffee. And here you see already how he is looking like, and he only dried for a couple of hours, so it is very easy in drying. And I'm going to get out my piece of wood, and you see already now we have an opening for our straw. And I think he looks, if you look carefully, he is so nice, and it gives a nice structure. Of course, you can decorate it any way you like. You can maybe do some little topping on top of here. You can choose anything you like. I keep it very simple, so you can change anything you like. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do some glue on top, because wood glue is not gluing everything. So we are going to do some, this is also Pattex, but from a different brand. So I'm going to do a little glue on the inside, not too much on the outside, only on the inside. So I'm going to go around like this, and I'm going to let this dry in for at least a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to place this on top. So in the meantime, while our glue on top is drying, because it needs at least 10 minutes to dry in before I'm going to place my topping on top of here. But if you have other glue, maybe yours glues is a little bit faster. Of course, if you use hot glue, most of the time your styrofoam is melting away, so I don't recommend that. So I hope you use a little bit different glue. So in the meantime, I have here another one. You see already we made two of the round, but I didn't use this one because I only use for the bottom. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to do some black shoe polish on this one, because it is a decor piece. So I'm going to let it stand on top of here. So I'm going to do this one in the black color, but you don't have to do it. But I am really like it, especially because you are placing it somewhere for decor. So I'm going to do this a little bit faster, and then you see how it will look like under my mug. So now I gave it the 10 minutes drying, and now I'm going to place my topping on top. But of course you have to see it. Before I'm going to do, look for where your straw is coming out, because you don't want to have your straw on a side you don't want to have it. So I'm going to place it on top of here, and I'm going to feel if I have it in the middle. Of course, we have to do it as best as we can, and we're going to press it down, and we're going to let this dry. And you see, he looks already very nice. Of course, we have our stand, we have our straw. So you see already, and like I told you, I did the straw already inside over here. I'm still a little, I think the lining is too perfect. I don't know if I like it, so I think I'm going to get a little bit of my wood filler again, and I think I'm going to go around it to make something that it runs out a little bit, because I think it's really this too neat, if I say it correctly. So I think I'm going to get some wood filler, and I'm going to mix up a little bit of the perfect lining, because I don't like it that much, because it never is so perfect. And of course, then we're going to make an own cute little sign. I use this one for placing our mug on top of here. And I made my mug especially high because I want to use it in my decor and I want everything that it is coming up. But you also can do, of course, a little lower. So if you don't like it too big, you can just not do 5 long, you do 4 long. Then you have the same, but just a little bit shorter. So I'm going to glue this one on top of here, and we are going to make from our blocks a sign, also the same like this one, so we can use it in our decor in our coffee corner. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my wood filler, and then I hope it will turn out nice. So you see, I did a little bit more of the wood filler on top of here. So I made the line not totally perfect anymore because I like it a little bit better. But if you don't like it, it's also fine. What you also can do, if you don't like the line, maybe some twine, a couple of turns, maybe some ribbon. It doesn't matter, but of course, work it the way you think you like it, because my taste is not everyone's taste. So, of course, I'm going to get my little wood, and I'm going to do some wood glue on the underside, and I'm going to glue this on top of here. So I'm very careful. I'm just going to use some glue. Of course, I show it to you over here. We're going to go around. And we're going to place this on top. Of course, I want to have to be sure that I have it where I want to place it. Of course, this way. And make sure that you have it in the middle. Give it a little bit of pressure. And we're going to let this dry in. Now we have a nice stand under it because I like it. But it is also something, if you don't like it, it's also fine. Do whatever you think is right. So I'm going to let this dry in, and now we're going to place this aside. What we're going to do, I'm going to get my blocks. I'm going to get 6 blocks, 4, 5, 6, and we glue the longest side on each other. So this way, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. And again, squeeze it, give it a little bit of pressure. And again, feel with your fingers until you have the line you need. We have already 5, and this is a number 6. And again, glue them together. And this is already 2, 3, 4, and a number 5. Squeeze it. And we're going to give this a couple of minutes rest so it can dry in. So easily we glue this one together. Oh, this DIY is really one big mess. I don't know why, but it is one big mess. And it isn't even Monday. So you already see how difficult sometimes it is to tell it to you and what I have in my mind. But if you have questions, just leave a comment down below. So I'm going to let this rest, and then we're going to give it the color black, of course. But first, in the meantime, I'm going to get, because I already have a couple of my Starbucks around left over. So I'm going to get this one, and I'm going to cut it out. So just in a round, the same like we did with the tag on top. So, and we are going to use this one, of course, on top of here. So I did cut out my print, of course. What I'm going to do, I have here 2 blocks. And I'm going to do very easy, glue them together this way and glue this one together this way. We're going to give it a little bit of pressure, and we do here the same. And now we're going to do some glue on the side, and we place them together this way until one piece, and just let it dry in a couple of minutes also. We gave it a couple of minutes. We do on the underside, we do some glue over here, and we're going to place this one exactly in the middle this way, and we're going to also give this one a couple of minutes again. You see how easy is it just to make your own little sign. It's so easy to do. You just take a print, you make a little stand, print it on top of here, and you already have your own cute little print. And it's so easy to, and it doesn't cost you anything, because especially here in the Netherlands, the little signs are quite expensive to have. So most of the time I also order online, but the most of my print I make myself. So I am really liking making my prints, but of course everyone who is here already for a long time knows also that I do every day also the Dutch word of the day, so that's also have a nice print. So I am always loving making my own prints, but of course it's not everyone's cup of tea. So I'm going to give this a black color. Also with this one you can change it up the way you want to have it. I just use the black, but you don't have to use it. So I finish this off and then we do the print on top and then we are almost finished. So the last what we need to do before I show you the quick impression is of course turn over our print, and we're going to do some Mod Podge on top of here. And we're going to Mod Podge it and I place it on our black sign. And then we have everything we need for our quick impression of our Starbucks mug. And of course it is a Decor mug. It is not really the one you normally buy. It's just an inspiration of it. So I'm going to make sure that I don't get I'm placing it over here in the middle. And I have to turn it this way. And I'm going to very lightly go over it to make sure that we have it in the middle. We have to turn it a little bit. And you see already we have our own cute little Starbucks sign. And how easy is this? But of course for you in a moment you see